Alright guys, the time has finally come. I've hit the 24k golden subscriber goal. It's not really that golden, but you know, it's a pun. So I said I'd do a tier list on Plant-Based Zombies 2 plants, and yep, here we are. This is only going to be of adventure plants. I might do the others another time. I mean, they keep adding plants all the time, so they'll just keep getting outdated, but yeah, I could just do Genius ranked actually, maybe. We'll see how this one goes, and then yeah. This is based on, I'd say mostly adventure, but can factor in arena and Penny's Pursuit, as well as other extracurricular game modes. Yes, I'm counting leveling. If you don't like that, I don't know, have a moan in the comments about it. Alright, so, like several of my other tier lists, mostly the Garden Warfare 2 ones, I've already got it pre-made, so I'll talk through each one. First of all, they're not in order. They're ranked sort of approximately in world order, but that's not based on the placement. I'm not saying that Sunflower's better than Coconut Cannon. They're the same tier, but that's just how they place. So I'll discuss them going in world order. Alright, let's do this, and let's see the dislike count massively increase. So first up, let's go tutorial plants. I did rank these recently, in case you haven't seen that. I mean, the view count ain't that high, so you probably haven't. Don't really need to go into detail. I still think regular Sunflower is really good. I maintain that she's pretty much the best one until you get Primal Sunflower. We'll talk about Sunstream later on. Walnut as well, still pretty solid. I mean, he probably would be, given his purpose. Completely outclassed by Primal, but you only get him late in the game. Lower down, we've got Peashooter, and then in the weak tier, we've got Potato Mine and Cabbage Pult. Red Peashooter, I still don't think it's as bad as everyone says, but I think it's better than Cabbage Pult. DPS is generally higher, despite the fact they appear to be the same. Plant food is pretty good. In fact, the plant food itself pretty much acts as a potato mine, which is why I think Peashooter is better than Potato Mine. People have reclaimed Potato Mine nowadays because,
oh, it's so good to stall at the beginning of levels.
It's like, you don't need to stall in the early levels, it's easy. Sort of overridden by Chili Bean as well. But I do think he is better than Cabbage Pult though. Cabbage Pult is another one that I don't think is quite as bad as everyone says. Would I have him in the bottom 5? Probably not, to be honest. His plant food is quite reliable, lawn clearer, and I do think it is still quite good in the first 2 worlds, so yeah. Now we go Ancient Egypt. Bong Choy right up here and amazing. Pretty predictable placement for me. There is the argument that he is outclassed by quite a lot of the premiums, so that does sort of keep him from the top spot. Obviously we're happy with premium, and then there's Poker and Headbutter Lettuce, which are CDM. He's still quite a good melee plant to use in adventure. Pop and buy on a walnut and he'll take anything out essentially. Plant food is really good as well. Solid, I've got, okay, I think it might be a bit chowdhull to put Bloomerang in the same tier as Repeater. He's gone up for me now since you don't get Laser Beam for a while, who pretty much completely outclasses him. But yeah, I'm probably going to drop him down to decent. Repeater seems outclassed, but great synergy with Torchwood. Just quite a good attacker in general. Iceberg, nowhere near as good as Stunyon, and the fact he's free does not put him above Stunyon. But still good for what he does. He's the first freezer you get. Counters, Explorers and Prospectors. Great plant food as well. Twin Sunflower's indecent. She's quite sluggish. I think she's the only adventure sun producer that isn't efficient from the get-go, since she costs 125 suns to plant but only produces 100. And yeah, Grave Buster. And yeah, Grave Buster finds more use outside the world. It's better in Dark Ages than Ancient Egypt. Okay, I can't talk today. Pirate Seas, Cherry Bomb right to the top. Seems like bias, but let's be real. It's just very reliable. It's kind of like a clutch plant. Blows up an entire area. Can plant it anywhere, can't get eaten. It's outclassed by a few plants here and there. I wouldn't say it's completely outclassed by Primal Potato Mine. Grave Shot's premium, Bomb Granite Cedium. I do think it is better than Bong Choy in that regard though, since he is sort of outdone more than Cherry Bomb. And amazing, Snapdragon, Spiderweed and Coconut Cannon. Snapdragon, I know a lot of people think he's better than Bong Choy. I don't think he's as good, but multi-lane, quite easy to use, great plant food, and can now Thor in Frostbite Caves. Spiderweed I've always thought was super underrated. It's a great multi-use plant, yeah. And it's better than Spyrod, because Spyrod's kind of a little expensive if you're not using it to break barrels or pianos or something like that. Really good in arena with hamster balls though. Coconut Cannon, I think I'll stay in amazing, even if I do think Banana Launcher is mostly better. I suppose it doesn't have the big explosion and its plant food is more RNG. Colonel this time might seem surprising, given I'm pretty sure I put him in my old worst plants list. I do think he kind of relies on spam a bit, and I'd say it's in the lower band of this world for sure, but his plant food is good as well. It's weird seeing me put it this high against Cabbage Pult, given until a few months ago I was Cabbage Pult ride or die when it came to the two. Yeah, I'm not going to lie, I'm probably going to drop it to decent actually. Single shot and just doesn't do enough damage for tough zombies. But thankfully Pirate Seas doesn't have many of those. Still a gulf between him and the next one though, 3-peater. Just plant 3 peashooters. We've been through this before. And Spring Bean, rubbish. Don't really need to explain this. It's completely useless outside of Pirate Seas. I mean, it's good in Pirate Seas, but it's not nearly enough to make up for its downfalls. Wild West now. Wintermelon is here in Busted. That does not need to be explained at all. This plant is extremely good. It's not that difficult to produce 500 sun, and even then, if you just plant 2 on, you get quite a lot of chilling, you get quite a lot of splash. Yeah, there's a reason this guy got butchered in the Flourished. Chili Bean, amazing. Probably going to be a hot take. People are going to use the argument.
Oh, it's useless against non-eating zombies.
Like, just don't use it against non-eating zombies then. Counters bugheads. Counters stuff with even more armor like brickheads and variants like that. Since it's eat upon activation, it ignores health, so it's quite good in Penny's Pursuit and Arena. Yeah, it's just very good at the beginning of levels and still quite good in the later game. The stun behind it's also a nice bonus, although that's never really been a standout feature for me. Only thing I don't like about Chili Bean is its plant food. Melon Pole and Solid, still good, just outclassed by Wintermelon for the most part. Although then again, it is banned from Last Stand for a reason, so that's sort of a testament to its power. Toolnut and Peapod, both indecent. Peapod has grown on me in the past couple of years. I generally don't think it's worth it to pick that over others, but in its home world, it's very good on minecarts. Its plant food is really good as well. And Toolnut, the argument most people make of that infinite plant food basically makes it redundant. But it does have the most health out of any plant in the game, so that does give him some power. And mid, yeah, here we go. My boy. People would be surprised I didn't put him block bottom. It's because I don't think he's bad in vanilla. Since they added the buff where his chain lightning does as much damage as the main shot itself, that has improved him quite a bit. Still a great counter for chickens, but it's pretty terrible against high health zombies. Spamming it is not a good enough reason to put it higher. I mean, his plant food is quite good, I will give it that as well. But overall, they're just far more better choices than this plant. Pretty much every other group control plant is better. And Split Pea, this one does have some more sort of impractical but still somewhat effective uses. People would make the argument that he's useless outside of this world because you don't really get many backwards facing ones, and the ones you do, with Jurassic Marsh, they can drag like fossil heads behind, which this guy won't be able to keep up with. But there are still a few other things you can do with it, like popping it behind a shield zombie to bypass the shield. I'll give it a slight edge over Lightning Reed, but that's probably it in its world. Now, Frostbite Caves, yeah, we're going on the common map order. Sorry to be a filthy casual. Right, yeah, Stunyon in top tier, probably going to be the only really controversial one in that tier. I think this plant is exceptionally good at what he does. Stun the zombie, can stun multiple zombies. Great at the beginning of levels. I think it is the best one. People make the argument that Stoolie is better, but I think stunning's always better than slowing because with this guy, if someone's about to destroy your plant, you can pop him there at the last second to stop that from happening. With Stoolia, you can't since it just slows. Also, it gets a poison effect at level 5, which is kind of polarising given that it does sort of take away the purpose, but I think you can still stall with him that way if you pop him near the back. So zombie gets stunned and then poisoned. I will say his plant food does drag it down a bit though. Is it enough to get out of busted? Nah, probably not. This guy's always not my go-to staller. Shardguard and Rotobark when solid. People would probably argue those should be ahead. With Shardguard, the thing that holds him back for me is I typically use melee plants, so this guy's sort of counterproductive if he's pushing them out of range, you know. So I'd rather just use a walnut for that. Really good for Gargantuas though, and is probably the one time Aloe's actually decent. Roto as well, decent plant. I've just never really been that big of a fan of her. I do think she is better than Starfruit though, especially with her projectile velocity. And then we've got mid, Hot Potato and Pepper Pole. I kind of spoke about these on my worst plants for every family list. Hot Potato, it's decent if you just need to plant on any ice block, but other than that, there's generally better options. I mean, it does get the octopus melting effect though, which is very much appreciated. And Pepper Pole was always quite slow and didn't do much splash, and sort of pushed to the wayside even more since Snapdragon got the heating buff, but I think it's way better to plant peppers at the back rather than just wasting Snapdragons for there. You see what I mean, because if you've got Snapdragons at the back to heat, that's cool and all, but you're not making the most out of his attack. Well, at least with Pepper Pole, you can take zombies out of range and still heat. Lost City, Red Stinger. Always thought this was one of the most underrated plants in the game. Before the big torture buff, it's pretty much a direct upgrade to Repeater. Still quite good even when you don't factor that in. Gold Leaf, I've not used too much since the big buff where she got allowed in all worlds, but does seem pretty good now. People still can't make their minds up about this girl. Yeah, Gold Leaf's a girl. It still is quite slow, but it's basically a permanent sun producer. The gold tiles cannot be destroyed whatsoever, so as long as you've got something on top of it, you've always got something there. And yeah, you can use it on all worlds now, so why not? I mean, unless you have Goldbloom, of course. Endurance and decent. I think the biggest selling point there is countering chickens. Although it's kind of what Peanut does, but better. Aki in mid. That's kind of like the most accurate thing possible. Like, no one really has an opinion on this guy. He just exists. I get what they're doing. He's kind of like a lobshot version of Bloomerang, but good in this world for excavators. But that's kind of the tip of the iceberg. Lettuce. Well, far future, back to the 7 plants. Blover, as much as it's a cheese, yeah, the thing is busted as hell. Counters any flung zombies, a lot of ambushes, and you can combo it to get rid of non-flung zombies. Even with the spring bean thing removed, you can still do with child guard and quite a few others. Laser bean. A lot of people probably think this guy goes to the top because he is one of my favourites and one of my most used plants. I mean, he's great at what he does. That whole lane attack, like, absolutely destroys with crowd control. Plant food is great. I think the only issue I have is, I think his sunk cost is a little much, maybe. Still a guy I'll bring into the majority of the levels I play. Magnifying Grass. Fan favourite. I do not think she's top tier, though. I do think she is quite a bit overrated. And I might have kept it off the top just to make 660 NJ cry. She's sort of the extracurricular modes that hold her back. With the health scaling, she's not nearly as effective. And like when you've got a sun production or planting space limit, then she falters. I've also thought our plant food kind of sucks as well unless you've got like 20 sun producers on the lawn. And is it even worth using at that point? Probably not. Personally, I'm never a guy who will just only use Magnifying Glass or pretty much manuals in general. But I'd say probably the best manual in the game. Infinites, busted plant food, but the plant outside of that is pretty average. So I can't give him any more than solid for that. Once again, this with melee plants, I'd much prefer to just use regular walnut, or obviously prime walnut, because, I don't know, he dies too quick. Citron's indecent, like, unless you've got a lot of good crowd controllers, he's unreliable. Not being manual compared to coconut kind of holds him back a bit. He could definitely do with Splash, and they nerfed his plant food so he can't one-shot Gargs, which was his selling point for me. EM Peach, I do think is quite underrated, but is quite niche though. Useful in quite a lot of arenas though, given robots show up there quite a bit. And Tile Turnip, I still think of the worst far future plant. Arena and leveling, save this guy. Dark Ages now. Yeah, I've actually got 3 tied in the highest tier, all in solid. Maybe I should put Sunstream up. I've always thought Sunstream was quite overrated in the sense that it's kind of slow to produce sun at the beginning of levels, and I've never found it that good outside of Dark Ages. Yeah, I'll go a tier above then. Magnastream is another one that people say is like barely useful, but really good Neon Mixtape Tour, quite good in Dark Ages. Basically, when it's good, it's really good. When it's not, there's better options. Fume Stream is a controversial one because there's a lot of people who think he's a direct upgrade of Laserbeam just because he does like 0.01% more DPS. And I'm going to say, nope! The weaker range holds him back a bit. In fact, to counter Jester zombies, unless you got him leveled up quite high, you need at least 2. I think that really undermines him, to be honest, given that he's pretty much specifically introduced to counter Jesters. And once you need 2 of them, all like one and a defensive plant, yeah, falters a bit. Plant food is better though than laser beans, and it's one of the best in the game, like, without a doubt. I mean, hey, I didn't put him that high, but at least I put him like 5 spaces higher than Wolfy would, so forgive me please. Pass stream indecent. All I thought was overrated as hell in PVZ1. I think he's still kind of overrated on this game. There's a lot of ways to get around the lack of falling sun in Dark Ages, like compared to Night on PVZ1. I wonder if I could put him in mid actually. I don't need to think about that one. In the meantime, let's go Sunbeam. Yeah, weak. The only reason why I didn't put him in rubbish is just because his plant food is actually really good and is great to counter Knights with. Well, among others, of course. I'm thinking about the homeworlds too much, aren't I? Okay, next up is Neon Mixtape Tour. Yeah, this is where you see quite a lot of low rankers. Except, of course, Time Warp. Ever since they allowed him to be used in all worlds, they just made his recharge slow. But yeah, I hate to put him up this high just because he is so obnoxiously cheesy and, like, removes quite a lot of the skill. Let's be real. Sorry if you like using him. I'm a Hurricane guy as well. Yeah, move down a bit. Decent. We've got 3 of them. Celery Stalker, Intensive Carrot, and Sports Room. Let's go over Intensive Carrot first. I still maintain this guy is actually really good at what he does.
Oh, you shouldn't be losing those plants in the first place.
What about a situation where plants can be taken out of range, like, I don't know, Gargantua Primed or something like that? And plus, he actually does have some synergy with, like, less expensive plants, such as Explode Nut, where you can actually use the lower health as an advantage. But I do think he is better than stuff like the Flourish, where he costs slightly less. Celery Stalker, people spunk themselves over, but I feel to use it effectively, you need to consume 3 tiles. Have him there, then a space between, so he can actually trigger him, then a defensive plant. Feels a bit counterproductive. I mean, he's good in Jurassic Marsh for zombies dragged out the back, but it's still not that helpful. And Spore Shroom, it's a good idea, but it sort of punishes you if you use more than 1 offensive plant, so that yeah, restricts him. And obviously, Garlic and Rock Bottom, yeah, bro, they tarnished him on this game. And Jurassic Marsh, the three do not need explaining whatsoever. Yes, Primal Sunflower is the best sun producer. Well, best primary sun producer in the game. Primal Peashooter, a little weaker than those three and has poor synergy with a few plants here and there like Stunning and some melee plants. But other than that, it's still good and a few of them can like infinitely stall. And then Perfume Shroom in Solid, I could drop that down to decent. I know this guy got put right at the bottom of Flag Zombies community ranking, mostly because no one would consider her their favourite. Okay, now Big Wave Beach and the highest, okay, Lily Pad. I could have made another tier right at the bottom for tall plants, but I thought that'd remove quite a lot of them from the equation. But at the same time, I didn't want to just have this one plant omitted from the list, so I had to put him amazing, just because you need it for the world, really. And of course, Banana. Yeah, drop down a little bit here. Crocodile indecent. It's like a good faux lawnmower plant, but I just don't really see the need to use him that much. Obviously, I used to use him to cheese don't lose more than X plants level, since his rush attack somehow didn't count as losing a plant, but hey, they patched that, so yeah, he falls off. Just because I can't cheese with him no more. Bowling Bulb in mid, he'd be right at the bottom if it wasn't for leveling, and Arena as well, those two things saved him. And Tangle Kelp in rubbish. Slow as hell, always targets the wrong zombie, it's just too slow. Yeah, the world just goes against him. And now Monday, another ranking I did relatively recently. Dust Lover in the top. Once I saw this girl's full potential, I was like, oh yeah, this thing actually kind of wrecks, not gonna lie. Compared to before, where I thought she and Pepper were basically around about the same.
Are you serious?
Explosive shots, very damaging. Multi-lane is quite handy. In fact, if you just stick a Moonflower and her in the beginning of the level, that 3 lane's covered immediately. The plant food has never been my favourite, but... And of course, the fact that she kind of needs to be powered sort of makes her useless in Last Stand. But overall, don't think that's enough to keep her out of the red tier. Shadow Shroom is the first poison plant. You could argue Goo Peashooter is better, but in the grand scheme of things, it's a really good counter to the zombies, especially some of them you get in this world. And plant food is absolutely insane. Moonflower never thought was that good as a sun producer by itself, but just planting like one column of them, then surround them by dust lobbers, it's basically an instant win. And then we've got Grimrose, really underrated plant I think. Instantly counters all-stars, which is already like an instant win itself. Ignores health. The only thing is, plant food, it's really rubbish. It's really not good, guys. Really not good. I mean, Moonflower as well, I could have said that about. Then down here we've got... Actually, I might move it to mid. Yeah, I suppose you don't log Dust Lobber for quite a while after it. But its melee is okay, its range attack is forgettable, and once you've got Dust Lobber, there's no reason to really use this guy again. And that is the end of the tier list. So yep, thanks for watching this video, guys. Thank you once again for getting me to 24k subs. So I've been Golden Ninja Vlogspot. Thanks for watching this video.